my channel. So today I am doing a video all about brushes and my favourite brushes and brush brands. I get so many questions asked about brushes in general. I get so many emails and messages from you guys, so I thought it's time to make a video to let you guys all know my brush loves. So I'm going to kick straight into the video and I'm going to talk you guys through my favourite face brushes. Now the first one that I'm going to start off with is not a surprise if you guys watch any of my tutorials, and that is, oh, I better turn my phone on silent before I start filming. So that is the Beauty Blender. So this is the Pro Beauty Blender that I recently got, I want to say like a week or two ago, and I think it's absolutely fab. For some weird reason I feel like it's different to the pink one. It feels more dense and it feels like it holds more water inside, but I just love this. When anyone asks me, oh, you know, what's the best way to apply foundation or what's the best brush to use, I always say the original Beauty Blender, because this just beats any other foundation brush that I've ever tried. It beats the stippling brushes, the buffing brushes, the flat foundation brushes. This is just brilliant. It has literally changed my foundation game ever since I've been using it, and I have been using it, I want to say, for about 2 or 3 years now, and I just the hugest fan. So this is what I love. If I do want full coverage for my face, I will occasionally use a flat foundation brush to kind of brush the product onto my face and then blend it out with the Beauty Blender. However, that is quite rare because I like my foundations to look very kind of like healthy and not too heavy. So this is absolutely fab. And the way to use this is dampening it under water, because you want to use it damp and not dry, because that's when this bad boy works the best. So the next brushes that I'm going to talk you through are kind of like the base brushes and also one eyebrow brush. So I'm going to start off with the eyebrow brush first, and this is the Zoeva 317 Wing Liner Brush. This is basically just an angled brush, and I just love using this for filling in my brows using the Anastasia Dip Brow. And I just think it's really nice because you can get a really kind of pointy end to it when you sharpen it on. Like, I use just the lid of the dip brow, but I think this is fabulous. I use a lot of brushes which are for certain things, for something else, and don't get scared by when a brush is like, this is a lip liner. If you want to use it for concealer, go ahead. Like, there's no right or wrong when it comes to brushes. As long as you feel comfortable doing what you're doing with the brush you're using, that's good enough. And before I get any further into this, the makeup that I am wearing on my face today, I have actually used some of my favourite makeup brushes to create this look, and this look will be up on this weekend, which is Sunday the, I need to check what date it is, the 23rd of August. So this look will be up this weekend on the 23rd of August, so please don't forget to look out for that. Next up are 2 concealer brushes. So when I have to use a concealer from a pot or from a palette, then I like to use this Concealer Buffer by Zoeva. And this is the 142 Concealer Bluffer. This is the 142 Concealer Buffer by Zoeva. It's a super dense brush, and you can get a nice amount of product under your eyes. You can either use it in like swiping motions or dabbing motions, whatever you feel like, and you can use it all over your face as well. Sometimes I do use this to put my contour on, so my cream contour, but it just depends what mood I'm in. But all in all, this brush is brilliant because I just love how dense it is. But again, I do like to blend my concealer out with my Beauty Blender because this stuff is just brilliant. You can also use this to blend out your, your cream contour as well. This stuff is basically like 3 or 4 brushes in one, which is brilliant. So the next brush that I wanted to talk to you guys is a brush that I use for concealer to clean up my brows. So when I want to kind of like sharpen up any edges, I like to use this Nancy lip brush. And yeah, it is just your bog standard lip brush, but I just really like the shape of it because it's really nice and rounded, and I can really kind of carve out my eyebrows as to the shape that I want it, and it's not too harsh as well. So this is really great, and using flat brushes like this helps get an even amount of product on your skin, which is great, especially for your brows. Next up is my concealer setting brush, and I get asked so many questions about what brush I use for this, and it's actually the 114 Luxe Face Focus Brush by Zoeva. So this is a really nice flat yet kind of like domed brush, which I think fits really nicely underneath my under eyes, on my forehead, and all of that jazz wherever I like to set my concealer. And I just think this is the perfect shape. Again, it's a beautiful brush. I just love Zoeva brushes because I think they are so affordable and they are great quality. I've washed my Zoeva brushes so many times and they are still in great condition, which is what I love about them. So this is the brush that I love setting my concealer with. And then when it comes to powdering my face, which I kind of rarely do because I layer all my products on my face and then kind of like buff everything in. But when I do need to set my kind of face or buff all the products in, I like to use this Zoeva Luxe Cheek Finish Brush, which is the 126 brush. This is basically like a bigger version of this one, but it's a lot dense from the side as well as the front as well. And again, this is great for kind of like buffing all products into your face. I don't know if I'm ruining my makeup by doing this, but I just really like this because it's small enough to do kind of like smaller areas, but you can go in and you can set like everything if you want to as well. So this is the brush that I like to set all of my makeup for my kind of base. And now I'm going to go on to cheek brushes. So the first brushes I'm going to show you guys are my contour brushes. The brush that I like to use sometimes when I am using a cream product is this Real Techniques pointed foundation brush, which is basically like a really small foundation brush, and it's quite thin as well at the same time, which means that you can draw really nice kind of contour lines in your cheeks and around your forehead and even on your nose. I just think that this is a really nice brush because it's small enough to do intricate areas, but it still works great on your cheeks. And again, Real Techniques is a really good affordable brand for makeup brushes. So then it comes to blending out the contour. Now I have been using this one blending out contour brush for so many months now, and I feel like this is the only one I ever reach for, and it is this Motives brush. And I feel like this is a foundation brush, but I love using this to blend out my contour. It is a dual fibre brush, so you have like longer fibres as well as shorter kind of denser fibres as well, but it just does such a great job at blending out my contour and I absolutely love it. If you do struggle to get this exact brush, because I know Motives can be quite hard to get hold of, I believe there is a Zoeva brush which is similar to this, so I will leave a link to a couple of suggestions in the info box below if in case you can't get a hold of this one. And next up are these two brushes here which I like to set my contour with. So this one here is the Charlotte Tilbury Sculpt brush, which again I've been using for years and I absolutely love it. It's big yet small enough to really get into kind of like the cheeks areas, and it gives you kind of like an all-round nice contoured finish using this. But when I want to kind of darken up my contour, I like to use a smaller brush, and this is the Sigma E40 brush, and this just gets right into the areas that you really want to kind of like get into for a contour. So I mainly use this on my cheeks, my nose, my cupid's bow, and also underneath my lips as well. So these two are favourites for setting the contour. And then when it comes to bronzers, there's one brush which I have just been loving, and this is by Sarah Artistry, and it's kind of like an angled fluffy brush, which I just love to kind of bronze up my skin. Again, I really like it because of the size of it, and it is super soft as well. The two blusher brushes that I love using is this one here, which is by a Real Techniques, and it's the blush brush, and this one here, which is a Real Techniques one as well, and this one is the Expert Face brush. Now I use this fluffier one when I just want kind of like an all-round bit of a glow or just like an all-round bit of a colour, but recently I've been so into using denser brushes for my blush and really kind of like pressing the product into my cheeks. I feel like this way I get enough pigment on my cheeks so it looks like that I'm actually wearing blusher. But these two have been my favourites, and this actually is a foundation brush, and I used to use this quite a lot, but as always I always go back to my beauty blender at the end of the day. But these two have been kind of like my go-to blusher brushes. As you guys know, I love highlighters. I feel like I can't go a day without wearing highlighters. So I'm going to be showing you my two favourites, and they are these two here. So this one is the 129 Luxe Fan Brush by Zoeva, and this one is the Real Techniques all the writing is off on here, but I feel like this is the Real Techniques setting brush. So this one is one that I've been reaching for recently because it gives you a really nice kind of like wisp of highlight on the areas that you want to. So I generally like to highlight the tops of my brows and also the tops of my cheeks and the top of my cupid's bow. I always used to kind of like look past these, but recently I've just been so obsessed with applying my highlight with this, and I just think it's beautiful. And again, it's super, super soft, and it's the right amount of kind of like thickness as well, which means that you don't get too much product on your cheekbones or too little product, and it blends out really nice as well. Before I discovered that fan brush, I was actually obsessed with this setting brush, and I would always apply my highlight with this. This gives more of an intense highlight because it isn't a fan, it's not kind of spread out, it's very kind of like targeted. So when you do want kind of a really extreme highlight, I would use a brush like this. But this has been a favourite for years. I feel like I've loved this ever since it's come out. So now that the base and the cheek and the contour brushes are covered, I'm going to move on to brushes that I use for my eyes. There are more brushes in this category than any others because I like to switch my brushes up. I'm going to start off with top to bottom, so what I would use as a highlight first all the way down to like the lower part of my lid. So first of all, the brush that I like to use for my highlight is this shading brush by Real Techniques, and it is a beautifully domed brush which I feel fits underneath my eyebrows really well to add a highlight onto them, and I feel like that you can get quite a good amount of like product packed onto this brush as well, so you don't have to keep on dipping it into the product. And again, I feel like I use this in almost every single tutorial of mine, but I absolutely love this brush. Next are some brushes that I like to blend and just to use in my crease and just help blend colours together. The first one is this MAC 224 brush. This brush is just beautifully shaped, and I feel like this fits into pretty much any kind of eye shape to use as a transition brush to help kind of all your colours on your eyes blend in really nicely together. Sometimes, however, I do use the Sigma E40 as well, but these two are very, very, very similar, and I like to keep one for contour, one for eyes, just so that I don't mix up the colours too much. But the MAC 224 is brilliant for blending. And then I also have two Zoeva brushes which I love as well for kind of the crease area and just blending in general. So this is the 228 Crease Brush by Zoeva, and it's a lot thinner, which means that you can really kind of get into the areas that you really want blending out, or even kind of intensify colours in the crease. And then if I want to go ahead and kind of go one step further and really kind of define the crease or really give my crease a bit of a smoke to it, then I like to use this 231 Luxe Petit Crease Brush by Zoeva. I like to use this when I really want to intensify colours on the outer parts of my eye, because I feel like this picks up a lot of colour and it's great at just blending and kind of diffusing colours out when you're just wanting to put them on the outer corners. And again, sometimes I switch things up and I help use this as a brush to kind of blend out any eyeshadow that I'm putting underneath my lower lash line as well. But generally I really like this one for just adding kind of like intense colour. So these three are my favourite blending brushes. So I like to pack eyeshadows onto kind of like the main eyelid area of mine, and there are two brushes that I always reach for. So one is this 325 Luxe Brow Light brush, which is a very kind of like thick, flat brush that I like to use to pack colour onto my eyes. And then there's this one, which is the 234 Luxe Smokey shader, which is basically a smaller version of this one. So when I'm not too fussed about the colour being very kind of exact in certain places, I like to just go ahead and use the big one because it does the job and it's big enough to do it quick. But when I want something a little bit more neater looking and there's more colours involved, I like to use the smaller one. Both do a great job at kind of packing colour onto your eyelids, and I just love the rose goldness of this one as well. But these two are the ones that I always reach for when I want to pack any eyeshadow onto my eyelids. Not too many brushes to go now. Next I'm going to show you guys a pencil brush which I love using, and pencil brushes in general I like to use when I'm kind of doing more intricate work on the eyes, whether that's adding colour to my lower lashes or doing a cut crease. I really like using this 230 Luxe pencil brush, and I kind of feel like I have a love-hate relationship with pencil brushes because some of the ones that I have are too stiff and some of them are too flimsy. However, this one is like the right amount of kind of like give and take, and I just really like it because it's not too big, it's not too small, and you can kind of really carve out the crease with this or use this to add a lot of product onto your lower lashes. So I think this is fab. Then there are two other brushes that I like using. I think a lot of the times I use these for my lower lash line or my top lash line, and again these are Zoeva brushes. This one here is the 226 smudger brush, and this one here is the 322 brow line brush. I generally like to use this when I'm not doing any winged eyeliner and I just want to pack colour really close to my eyelashes. I will go ahead and use this. Sometimes I will use this to kind of blend out colour on my lower lash line when I don't want it to be like crazy smoky. This does a really good job. So next is an eyeliner brush, and this is the Graduate Daler-Rowney Spotter brush. And this brush is actually from Hobbycraft, and I think this is an incredibly good eyeliner brush. So this is what I use when I want to apply any kind of gel eyeliner onto my eyes. And I'd been looking for a brush which was super thin at the end, which meant that I could build up a winged eyeliner or I could have it really thin if I wanted to. And luckily Hobbycraft came to the rescue, and this bad boy is just amazing, and it's very cheap as well. Last but not least, I sometimes use a lip brush to apply lip product, and this one is the one that I use, and this is the 237 Detail Shader brush by Zoeva. It fits onto my lips really well. I can actually go ahead and clean this out and use this as a concealer brush if I really wanted to as well. But I just think this is a really good brush which packs on a lot of product. So you guys, that is the end of my brushes 101 video. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've had so many questions about brushes and the brushes that I love and use in general, so I really hope this was helpful to some of you all. And don't forget to watch out for Sunday to see this makeup look. And yeah, I guess I will see you all in my next video.